Human Energy, Its True Source. An article by Walker Atkinson out of the Nautilus Magazine. The mental atmosphere of our time and place is filled with the idea and ideal of efficiency. The word itself is used with a new and more forceful meaning. We conjure with it. Many regard it in the light of a fetish, able to work magic in human affairs. The added significance of the term, and its frequent and persistent repetition in the popular vocabulary, has given to it a mighty suggestive value. The very mention of the word causes men to throw back their shoulders and to manifest new energy. What is the meaning of the term, efficient? The dictionaries define it as causing effects, producing results, actively operative or capable. From this term arises the popular term, efficiency, which is defined as quality of being efficient, the ratio of useful work to energy expended. So we see that there are two phases to the idea of efficiency, viz. 1. The energy-producing effects or causing results, and 2. The intelligent and economical application of efficient energy, so that we may get the maximum of work from a given amount of energy. In this article, I shall have very little to say regarding the second phase of the idea of efficiency. Many books have been written on the subject, and the magazine of the day which has not had something to say on the subject is behind the times. So I shall hold my peace, and not add another preachment to the many you have read on the subject. I leave to others, for the time being, the task of instructing you how to use your mental and spiritual steam. In this paper, I shall rather speak of the question of generating the mental and spiritual steam itself. What is human energy? The authorities differ in their definitions. They agree that it is bound up with the question of life and living. Beyond that, they begin to differ. But one thing the reason reports positively to us, i.e., that the source of human energy must be found in some deeper and more fundamental energy. Modern scientific thought is agreed upon one point, namely that energy is never created from nothing. From nothing, no energy ever came. Energy transforms its forms, but it never is created nor destroyed in its original essence and spirit. And when physics blends into philosophy, it is but a step to assert and maintain that all forms of energy must have their origin and basic existence in some great, underlying, universal energy beyond the realm of physics, in the realm of metaphysics. Herbert Spencer bridged the chasm between physics and metaphysics with his famous declaration of that infinite and eternal energy from which all things proceed. I prefer to use the term spirit in thinking of that ultimate energy. Others prefer the term primal energy. Whatever the ultimate energy may be in its inmost essence, it is apparent that it is an active energy, manifesting ever in causing effects and producing results, which is equivalent to saying that it is efficient. It is eternally at work doing things. And moreover, when the human being does things, he does so by applying that self-same energy through the agency of his mental and spiritual engines and his physical machinery. Men have sought to express this basic human energy by the term will, but they often make the mistake of supposing that the human will is something belonging to personality, whereas it is really but a center of activity in the great will, spirit, or energy of the universe. Men make a great mistake when they think they can develop or increase their mental and spiritual energy by creating it within themselves. What they really do, when they succeed, is to bring their mental and spiritual organism into tune with the vibrations of the universal energy. Like the trolley car, they receive their energy from above, rather than manufacture it. The individual who has learned to raise the mental trolley pole so as to come in contact with the universal current of energy has solved the problem. And all the really efficient individuals have done this, even though they do not realize it. No, I am not leading you into the realm of metaphysics. I am keeping your feet right here on earth and not asking you to lift yourself by your own bootstraps. Let us consider the ideas of William James regarding one of his favorite subjects, i.e., the energies of men, in the light of what has been said in the foregoing paragraphs. Professor James states his fundamental proposition in these words. As a rule, men habitually use only a small part of the powers which they actually possess and which they might use under appropriate conditions. He speaks of tapping hidden layers of energy in oneself, of developing the second wind of human energy, and perhaps the third or fourth, or still deeper strata of human energy. His writings on the subjects are most inspiring. The very reading of them tends to inspire one with second wind, so dynamogenic, is his presentation of the subject. Let us travel along with him a little way. James begins his consideration on the subject by reminding us of the familiar experience of one becoming fatigued by mental or physical activity, at which point one usually desists. He then reminds us of the curious fact that, if an unusual necessity arises, the fatigue seems to pass away and we find ourselves in possession of a fresh supply of energy, a level of new energy, second wind, so to speak. In like manner, several successive layers or strata of energy are tapped. He says, mental activity shows this phenomenon as well as physical, and in exceptional cases we may find, beyond the very extreme of fatigue distress, amounts of ease and power that we never dreamed ourselves to own. Sources of strength habitually not taxed at all, because habitually we never push through the obstruction, never pass those critical points. He then proceeds to a consideration of the fact that one placed under new habitual pressure or new necessities of environment soon establishes a new efficiency equilibrium, a new plane of habitual power. This new standard once reached, one may maintain it with no greater fatigue than he experienced under the old standard when the efficiency was not nearly so great. As he says, the busiest man needs no more hours of rest than the idle. He wisely reminds us that the new standard of energizing does not necessarily mean merely an increased quantity of energy. It applies equally well to increased quality. Moreover, he reminds us of the broader application of the term energy as follows: the sum total of activities, some outer and some inner, some muscular, some emotional, some moral, some spiritual. He then sums up immediate stimuli to the increased faculty of energizing as follows: either some unusual stimulus fills them with emotional excitement, or some unusual idea of necessity induces them to make an extra effort of will. Excitements, ideas, and efforts, in a word, are what carry us over the dam. Very few of us will fail to recall instances of this strange increase of energy in his or her own personal experience, or that of friends or associates. New environment, new necessities, new circumstances, sudden loss, falling in love, new responsibilities, pride, change of heart, religious conversion, etc., have awakened many to a vivid realization of the new power within. Many of us have witnessed the dynamogenic stimulus of new conditions and responsibilities. We have seen weak, shrinking, inefficient little women rise to wonderful planes of power by having the support of a family of small children thrust upon them. We have seen men like General Grant and other historical characters rise to unexpected heights of power by the opening of unexpected opportunities. Some men have rebounded from a terrible throw-down to wonderful heights of achievement. As James says, we find that the stimuli that carry us over the usually effective dam are most often the classic emotional ones: love, anger, crowd contagion, or despair. Despair lames most people, but it wakes others fully up. As I write these words, the newspapers are filled with the recital of the heroism of some of the men who were lost on the steamship Titanic. The sudden stimulus made heroes of hundreds of quite ordinary men. History is filled with incidents of this kind. Read the stories of successful men, and you will see instance after instance of this wonderful increase of energy reported. The San Francisco earthquake caused many bedridden persons to walk forth strong and active men and women. The recent case of a deaf-mute immigrant made whole by threatened deportation is but another instance. But, as James truly tells us, the normal opener of deeper and deeper levels of energy is the will. The difficulty is to use it, to make the effort which the word volition implies. But if we do make it, it will act dynamogenically on us for a month. It is notorious that a single successful effort of moral volition, such as saying no to some habitual temptation or performing some courageous act, will launch a man on a higher level of energy for days and weeks, will give him a new range of power. But it is needless to multiply instances of this power of increasing human energy. Every inspiring idea, every uplifting ideal, every strong, insistent desire, every active effort of will, brings into evidence this wonderful manifestation of reserve energy. The phenomenon is undisputed. The facts are in plain evidence. But do psychologists understand the real cause? Have they the right theory? Perhaps not. We know that energy cannot be created. and we have no evidence that there exists such great quantities of stored energy within the nervous system of the average person. If the reserve energy is always there, why the effort to tap onto it at first and the ease afterward? Does it not seem far more reasonable to suppose that in some perfectly natural, though little understood way, we attune our mental and spiritual mechanism to register and use the higher vibrations of the universal energy in which we live and move and have our being? At least, is it not worthy of being used as a working hypothesis? Has it not a strong pragmatic value? Has it not a high degree of dynamogenic stimulus in it? Does it not aid us in tapping on to the source of energy? Does it not help us to work out the problem in actual life? I think so. If there exists an infinite and eternal energy from which all things proceed, are we not necessarily centers of energizing activity in that infinite energy? If that infinite is the only source of power that there is or can be, does it not follow that all the energy there is must necessarily flow from it? There is no other source of energy, no other energy to heat. Is it unreasonable to hold that if we can raise our mental or spiritual organism or machinery so as to catch the higher vibrations of the infinite energy, then will that organism or machinery function on a higher plane of efficiency? If we admit this, then the term, in tune with the infinite, takes on a new and intensely practical meaning. Is it beyond reason to hope that, just as man has harnessed the ethereal waves to carry his messages and, before long, to run his machinery for him, so may he be able to harness the power flowing from the universal spiritual energy and use it to energize his mental and spiritual machinery? Nay, more, are not the great people of the race already doing this? Is not this the secret of this second wind of mental activity, and the third, the fourth, and the seventh as well? If man can manage to catch these higher vibrations of mental and spiritual energy, what may he not hope to accomplish in the future? In many old words are often to be found strange hints and great secrets of life, lying hidden and unsuspected until someone stumbles upon the key. In the word enthusiasm, used to indicate a high degree of mental and spiritual dynamogenic force and energy, we find an instance of this kind. We find that this word, in the original Greek, meant inspired by the gods. And as this term enthusiasm runs along with any of the great mental, emotional, and spiritual uplifts by means of which men accomplish great works, may it not give us the hidden key to the manner in which we attune ourselves to the higher vibrations of infinite energy? Do we not really thus get in tune with the infinite vibrations? Are we not, as it were, really inspired by the energy of the gods? For, mark ye well this truth, the infinite and eternal energy is no mere mechanical force or power. It lies far deeper than that, for it is more nearly defined as a living, mental conative energy, a great willpower. Is it too daring a hazard to assert that in this great universal energy, the source of all power and activity and work, is to be found that which in hushed tones we may speak of as the willpower of Almighty God, manifesting phenomenal life, forms, and activities? May this enthusiasm, this dynamogenic energy registered by, and caught up from, the infinite source, become the possession of all the race. Then, indeed, will the idea of efficiency be something by which man shall work miracles of activity and achievement. End of article.